The following audio may contain the personal testimonials of some independent Optavia coaches or clients of Optavia. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified, and your individual path to healthy living and weight loss will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. In addition, this audio may contain income or earnings representations of some independent Optavia coaches. Optavia makes no guarantee of financial success. Success with Optavia results from successful sales efforts, which requires hard work, diligence, skill, persistence, competence, and leadership. Please see the Optavia income disclosure statement for statistics on actual earnings of coaches under the U.S. compensation plan, which differs from the international compensation plan. Yours in health, the Optavia team.
Hi, and welcome to the Optavia Habits of Health webinar. I am Sam Prestenbach, and I am lucky enough to be your guide to discuss Element 15, How to Eat Healthy for Life. Now, this element is one that has truly revolutionized my whole life as an adult. Looking back, when I started my health journey, being just in my early 20s at the time and not having Optavia as a tool, I can recall being very lost. I can recall lots of ups and downs because although I had tried many things in the health and fitness industry, I had not tried many things that gave me the true tools for lasting change beyond a diet. Thanks to Optavia, the Habits of Health, and our LifeBook, using these elements, and especially the stuff that we are going to discuss in Element 15 right now, taking these tools took me from creating health in my life to sustaining health and truly understanding how food affects my body. And that's what I hope you gain tonight. I hope you gain the understanding of how food affects your body too. So in Element 15, we will introduce you to the healthy eating system. We're going to share strategies for portion control as well as quick and easy tools for healthy eating. You're going to be able to identify pitfalls and solutions to dining out, because dining out is fun and it's not something that you need to stay away from, not even in phase 1, but nor should you be scared of it for the rest of your life. Also, it's going to provide you with a blueprint for sustainable success in managing your eating patterns for life. Now, I hope when you hear that, you hear freedom. You feel freedom, because what you're going to gain truly through this process, if you choose to lean into it, if you choose to take the time to understand it and then apply it in the next stages of your health, is that you too will truly gain freedom in this process. So Dr. A says, my healthy eating system is designed to help you monitor and manage your energy intake, the food we eat, while ensuring that you get a healthy, balanced diet. Now, isn't that incredible to know that the food that we choose to put into our body can actually create energy for us, help us, AKA, feel amazing. Those of you that have done the first stage of the program or have been in fat burn, you know how amazing that is. And it truly is because of the structure that it gives us automatically. The fuelings, the way that they're created, and some of the things we're going to discuss today, they are created to not just give us great nutrients, but they're created also to help us create that healthy body and to help us feel good. And here's the coolest thing. This program that is given to us, or gifted to us, I would rather say, through Optavia, those fuelings, now we want to teach you, Optavia wants to teach you, as it taught me, in how to move from using the fuelings, which are such a beautiful, great option, but also how we can duplicate what we create with the fuelings, the freedom that we create there with other foods. So one of the first tools that we're actually going to discuss right now is Dr. A's portion control plate system. Now, sometimes we try a lot of things that are just far too complicated. And then we find ourselves wondering, why the heck can't we stick with it? And it really is as simple as, if you want to create lasting change, we really do need to approach things initially in a simple way. You see, this plate system is going to be how you gauge putting your food on your plate and what you're putting in your body. You're actually going to use, isn't it brilliant? You're actually going to use your plate as a measurement for the things that you're going to eat. When you take this tool and you apply it, you will get ease in your life. You will have accuracy in what you're eating. You're going to truly be learning portion control in multiple macronutrients, not just one area of nutrition. You're going to learn portion control for the proper protein intake throughout the day, the proper vegetables, proper amount of fruits, and the proper amount of grain too. You see, when we learn portion control, when we learn this system, and if you adopt the plate system into your life, you're going to gain peace of mind. No longer will you have to be afraid of certain food types. No longer will you have to be afraid of what's going to happen if and when you bring starchy carbohydrates back into your diet. You will actually understand that if you maintain certain portions, you will affect your health in your body in this way, that you may sustain your results and even continue to grow into ultra health. This is where you gain independence. And independence is gained through that visualization. And what you see here, if you visualize the plate here, you are going to be able to go and have breakfast, cook breakfast, lunch, dinner for yourself, as well as eating out, going to friends' houses, and whatever it might be. And you will be able to take this visualization tool of the plate system with you no matter where you go. This breakdown gives you a healthy balance of nutrients in the right amounts to satisfy your hunger and burn fat. Continue to maintain healthy body fat levels. And I don't know about you, but looking at how simple that is and then hearing what it's going to give you is just amazing to me. You get to truly, if you decide to visualize and you decide to maintain these ratios, results continue to come. Your energy continues to be sustained because we are actually giving our body what it needs in the proper ratios, okay? And that's what our body truly wants. Our bodies want the comfort of knowing that it is going to be fed, not just fed, but fed the right things in the right balances. So there are 3 important benefits here. It's automatic, it supports weight loss, it teaches you to eat healthy for life. You see, we're learning here long-term optimization. Low glycemic eating keeps blood sugar and insulin levels steady, and that's what we're going to dive into next too. We're moving from creating the habit of eating every 2 to 3 hours. We're going to keep that habit, but now that you've created a healthy body and you have a healthy, strong mind to want to go further and understand healthy foods, now we're going to truly learn about our blood sugar and insulin levels and how we can continue getting this same result and feeling this amazing way as we start to take more and more control and ownership of the food that we're putting into our bodies. It's shifting the focus to quality in, and that's what becomes so exciting, because as you go through that first stage and you go through the first season of fat loss or fat burn for yourself, a lot of things change, not just our bodies, our mindset changes, and the incredible thing is our palate changes too. So I think it's so important that as we continue going over element 15, that we approach this as we should, as the new individuals that we are, thanks to achieving the healthy body. And as we look at these different food groups and identify the different glycemic levels that we're going to talk about and talk about what a healthy plate might look like for you, I want you to think about the new healthy foods that you're going to start eating more regularly. These are likely foods that maybe or probably were not even a part of your daily, weekly, monthly routine prior to Optavia. But now, thanks to having this rehabilitated body through this amazing system, your palate is probably super excited about bringing all these interesting new healthy foods in. So let's take a look at now, what does this mean for you? Simply put, as we go through the next couple of charts, it's going to mean staying in the green will keep you lean. What we're going to discuss is moving away from ultra-processed Western diet and unhealthy carbs, which equals fat storage. We're going to discuss turning off the insulin so the body stops acting like a fat storage machine. And thanks again to the 5-in-1, if that was your beginning program, you did a great job at that. Now, as you look at transitioning and bringing more and more of these other foods back into your life, you get to continue that through your understanding. So here, is introducing the glycemic index. And what the Habits of Health system has done so great at is actually color coding this for us. Now, as we go through some charts, I want you to consider and think about what foods are you going to regularly bring into your household. And then I would even implore you to maybe you pause this if you're listening to the recording on the podcast or the YouTube channel. You pause this and you go get yourself a pen and a piece of paper so that as we go through this, you can start creating firsthand your own shopping list, your own grocery list that you can have with you at any time. In fact, I want everyone to do that listens to this, because as we go through these food groups, you're going to be able to re-identify what breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks look like for you through going through these. So here are your rules of thumb for foods that contain carbs. One, if you look right here, you see low GI. That stands for low glycemic index. And the foods that we're going to discuss that are in the dark green category, they are the lowest on the glycemic index. This means quite simply that they are the best for weight loss. They are the best for maintaining a lean body composition. They're also the best for maintaining steady blood sugar levels. The second one is the moderate glycemic index. This light green area is actually what we should choose in moderation. The food groups that are in here, we will moderately eat. They're healthy for you. They impact our glycemic level just a little bit more than the dark green. Now we move over to a high GI. The light orange has a higher glycemic index, and we really should focus on only eating these food groups rarely. The last is the toxic. And if you see a food that is in the red, truly, we should grow to avoid this food group. As Dr. A says in both his LifeBook and the Habits of Health book, these foods truly, over time, if we eat them consistently, they don't lead to good health. In fact, so many of them can lead to death. And I know that if we're sitting there eating a juicy hamburger or a donut at the time, it doesn't feel like death. It feels pretty good until a few minutes or a few hours later. But the fact is that those things, no matter how yummy they are just not good for us. And we really should shift our eyes away from that temporary pleasure of eating foods in the red category and shift our eyes towards all the incredible foods that are in the dark green and the light green categories, and making our nutrition on a daily basis comprise mostly of those two categories with just a little bit from the yellow here and there. So here's our 9-inch plate system again. okay? And I want you to take a really good look at this. The charts that are going to follow this system right here that we're going to really start diving into. These charts, they are designed to rev up your metabolism, to rev up your health, okay? Now, when we look at the breakdown, okay, it's as simple as 25% of each of these foods. 25% of your plate should be a protein. 25% of your plate should be vegetables. Another 25% should be your fruits, and then another 25% can be your grains. Now, we never recommend, if you look in the Habits of Health in the LifeBook, we don't really recommend going above the 25% in fruit, but here's one thing. Those dark leafy green vegetables that we're going to go over here in a second, those things are so chock full of nutrients that literally you can go up. You can choose to have 50% of your plate be comprised of these vegetables, and you can choose less of the fruit. You have flexibility here. And even to say, if you wanted a little bit more, you were going to have 25% of the fruits and you wanted a little more dark leafy green vegetables, you can do that too. It would be really hard to eat too much of these very low glycemic vegetables. So looking at this first chart here are your vegetable choices. Now, as we dive into this a little deeper, I want you to consider your body as this, a high performance machine. In fact, dare I say, you are a Porsche or a Corvette or a Maserati. Let's think about a nice fancy car, because that's what your body was designed to be. It was designed to take in high quality fuel, aka nutrients, so that you can perform at a high quality yourself. As we go through the next couple of charts, this truly is about choosing premium fuel instead of the cheapest grade fuel. If we put the cheapest grade fuel into our bodies, we get the lowest level of performance. Our brains don't perform as well, our bodies don't perform as well, and I know that all of us here truly want to feel our best. So you are looking now at the vegetable choices, okay? When we look at the glycemic index, we're going to go from the 15 all the way to the 50. And now here, when your number is lower, it is better. It's not going to impact your blood sugar on such a grand level, which means the higher the ratio, the higher the number on the glycemic index or the color, if it's not in the dark green or the light green, if it's in the yellow or the red, it's going to impact your insulin at a greater level. That means a higher spike and also a quicker drop, which means little bit of quick energy, big quick fall. And that's when we start to feel groggy and yucky. But here's the cool thing. If you look at this, look at all the incredible options. And if you are in fat burn on the 5-in-1 with the Optavia, you're already really familiar with these vegetables because you have been eating them so consistently. And here's the great thing is that you probably have a lot of great ways that you like to cook these vegetables, a lot of great recipes that already suit this. So not actually a ton is going to change. Here's where we truly become habit builders. It's like we built our pyramid finally with the right base, okay? And we started that pyramid with our vegetables, our protein, our healthy fats, thanks to the 5-in-1 through Optavia. So your foundation is already there. You already probably know what you like. And I want you to think about what are the staples that you're going to continue bringing into your life on this chart. Plus, if you are transitioning, think a little bit of fun. Guess what? I love beets, but beets are high on the glycemic index, but they have other really incredible health benefits that I really enjoy. And so occasionally I bring beets into my nutrition. I like roasted beets with a little goat cheese. And so when I do bring that in occasionally, I enjoy it, but I'm also very aware that it might spike my insulin too. So it's really important for me to have that balance with some healthy lean proteins. And I want you to remember again, as I said before, This group of food is so dense in nutrients and yet so low on the glycemic index that you truly can have more if you want, okay? So enjoy this group, not in moderation, but as much as you want. Now we move on to the fruit choices. Okay, so again, our numbers tell us where the impact has on our insulin, on our blood sugar, okay, and as well as the colors. Are you so excited? Because you know what? Everyone always wonders, when do I get to eat fruit? When do I get fruit? Eat fruit. Well, now that you're transitioning is the time. And there are certain fruits that we do want to start with first. Okay, now as you're adding this back in, it's really important to know some of your best choices are quite simply berries. Some of your best choices are going to be things you don't consider a fruit, like olives and avocados, citruses like limes. But you can bring some really tasty, yummy nutrients into your life and really enjoy this. And I'm going to tell you something too. When I truly changed my body and also my palate, something really interesting happened. You see, I liked fruit, but I didn't enjoy it on a regular basis because prior to this program, my nutrition had lots of sugar and processed carbs in it. And so I didn't crave fruit. After going through my program, I craved fruit, and all of these yummy options were so incredible, and I enjoyed them to a completely different level. And I know you will too. So look through this list and add that now to your grocery list. Now we are on to our meat choices. Now remember your plate here, guys. Visualize your plate. And one thing that I almost forgot to mention is that when you're eating from the 9-inch plate, some of us would think that's a saucer. Now, some saucers are 9 inches, but some saucers might be closer to 6 inches. So I want to encourage you, if you are not sure that you have a 9-inch plate in your household, get some now. This will truly revolutionize your whole family. And you will give the people, if you have people in your life that you eat meals with on a regular basis, you will give them a whole new healthy skill set. So protein is going to be 25% of our plate. This might look like a size of a deck of cards. I also forgot to mention, as we talk about visuals, if you are looking at your plate, your 9-inch plate, and you have either all vegetables, you chose to do 50% of the plate as vegetables, or you did the 25 vegetables, 25% fruit, your visual here is just simply a small paperback book that is about 100 pages long. So you might have this much vegetables on your plate, or you might have this much fruit and this much vegetables. Pretty cool visual to have with you. So when we're talking about meat, protein, we are talking about meat, fish, nuts, eggs, poultry, legumes, and seeds. These charts, they don't list the glycemic levels for meats because glycemic content for your proteins is so minimal. However, we do want to consider total fat and saturated fats. And so therefore, you're going to see us continuing to use the color-coded chart from the dark green to the light green to the orange and then the red. And that means as we go up, the greens are your leaner options. And then as we go into the orange and the red, those are your fattier options. And it's really important for us to know where we stand with our meats, because these calories add up. And if you don't understand that they're not exactly all created equal, you might find yourself actually increasing your weight. So I want you to look at this chart here, and I want you to write down again, of these healthy options, which ones are you going to put on your grocery shopping list? Which ones are going to make it to the weekly, even daily options that you're going to keep in your household? Now, I will note too, you don't see fish on here, but fish is an incredible lean option. We highly recommend. You can eat fish multiple times a week. Up to 1 to 3 times a week is a great option. But even eating fish once a week can reduce your risk of a fatal heart attack by 40%, just once a week. Now, if you don't like it, it can be acquired taste, but do work with it over time because our taste buds do change. And then I'm also going to mention, you know what? Sometimes we all like a good steak. Sometimes we like a hamburger without the bun is also a great option. And these are items that are definitely going to be in the orange to red categories. Just make really great choices around that meal. So if that you're choosing a meat that is in that category, do it occasionally, do it sparingly, and also don't choose additional fats in that meal so that you can balance it out a little bit better. So now we're going to look at some other options like your poultry options. Again, looking from the green to the red. The items that are in the green are obviously, again, the healthiest options. These are honestly the things that I choose personally to stock my freezer with. And I put lots of extras in my freezer. I even cook healthy meals ahead of time so that I don't ever find myself stuck in a place where I don't have the right food to fuel my body. You're going to add these things to your grocery list again and always make sure you keep them stocked. Now we're moving on to the stuff that can really impact your waistline. We're moving on to the starchy carbohydrates. Now, these grain selections that we're going to go over, they set the stage for success or failure. You see, much of what we were taught growing up is not actually good for us. I mean, the cereals we were raised on, to even the whole grain options that we were taught, most of that is not actually things that we're going to keep in our daily diet to sustain a level of health that we really want. And that's where we get a little confused. So here's where you're going to really adopt this tool. In fact, if you're watching this on YouTube, take a picture of it. You can find the glycemic index in Element 15 as well as in the Habits of Health book. Take a picture of that, keep it on your phone. This is going to probably be the one that you're going to have to go back to several times as this really starts to sink in. Healthy starches are so good for us though, and there's a whole nother school of thought that some people just try to stay away from them completely. But if we do that, we're not truly gaining the education that we need to have these things in moderation and also to enjoy them for health reasons, because there are so many good options on here that are nutrient rich sources of slow burning fuel and long lasting energy. And I see most starches are high on the glycemic index. So visualizing these guides and knowing what's in the green is going to keep you in the green, which is so important too. We've got the pasta, potatoes, and rice too. Now, looking at these, I love to enjoy yams and or sweet potatoes on a regular basis. But you can see here that there's quite a difference, right? Between yams, which are 37 on the glycemic index, or a sweet potato, which is a 46. You might also like brown rice over wild rice or white rice. And you can see here, knowing the difference is so, so, so important. You're going to see how it affects your energy too. And part of this is an exploration. As you go back into learning how to bring these categories back into your life in a portion controlled manner using the 9-inch plate system, you're going to see how foods affect you and be okay with that and really listen to your body. In both Element 15 and also the Habits of Health book, if you look in sections 2.4 to 2.8, you're going to get a ton of information. One cool thing that's also mentioned is the color of your plate. Now, as you start bringing back in, if you bring in white potatoes or white rice or even pasta, and you're still maintaining to keep that 25% of your plate. So that should only be 1/4 of your plate. And if you're doing that though, however, you don't want to choose a white plate because studies show that if our food blends into the color of our plate, mindset wise, we feel like we've not eaten that much and therefore we want to keep eating. So you might actually end up overeating. So think about the color of your plate here too as we start bringing these other foods back into our nutrition. Choose a green plate or even a blue plate. You should choose a color that is a high contrast of the food that you're putting on it. All right, so last but not least, we are talking about the pitfalls. How can you avoid potential pitfalls? It starts right here. It starts with awareness. It starts with wanting to avoid the pitfalls? Do you truly desire to stay in structure? Do you truly desire to maintain your health? Doesn't matter if you're eating at home or if you're eating out. You have to make a conscious decision that you still desire to succeed in your health and that you desire to succeed in your nutrition. But let me give you some tips. If you're eating out, it can be a great treat. You should not be scared of this at any stage, okay? If you're eating out for the right reasons, to give yourself a night off from cooking, to give yourself a night off from cleaning dishes. I mean, I'm a mama of four and I love eating out. I love DoorDash. I love ordering food. I also know how to order healthy though. You want to choose your restaurants in advance. Always look at a menu before entering. You can, almost every single restaurant that I know of now that I personally use has a menu online. And if they don't, pick up the phone and call. If they don't want to tell you, you're probably not meant to eat there that night if you truly desire to succeed. Upon going to the restaurant, don't stretch yourself. If you're still following this system and you're eating every 3 hours, make sure you continue to do that. So if you know you're getting dinner, but it's going to stretch your eating too far, have a low calorie snack in advance to stay on your 3-hour increments, or even continue to make sure you've got some of our healthy fuelings to help you stay on track. I personally still use the fuelings because they help me stay in line and structure. I always have food with me. Even if I'm out of things, then I have a healthy fueling, and quite honestly, they're delicious. So also, when you enter, if there's bread or chips on the table, just ask them to remove that. I cannot resist chips and salsa. Why would you leave it on the table? Ask them to get rid of it. You don't need it. You know what chips and salsa taste like. Ask for a to-go box also, because these meals are so humongous these days. You're getting way more food than you need when you order an entree. So when you order your food, immediately cut it in half and put it in a box. You can save it for the next day, or you could give it away, up to you. If you're ordering salads, choose healthy dressings. You might just squeeze lime or lemon on it with a little olive oil. You might do a healthy balsamic base. Dressings at restaurants are almost always loaded with way more fat or way more sugar than they need. And just because you're eating out doesn't mean that we forget our 9-inch plate system. That's why cutting it in half in advance is so helpful. Another thing you could do, order 2 appetizers instead of an entree. You might do a soup and a dinner salad, or you might do a shrimp cocktail. And never be too afraid to ask for the proper amount of food. If you know you're not getting the right amount of protein, ask for more. If you know you need more vegetables, ask for more. Be strong and be prepared and continue to fight for your health. All right, it's your turn. What does this element mean to you right now? What does this element give you the opportunity to reflect on? And what actions are you going to take as a result of this element? Really sink that in. I know that we went over some things that weren't so glamorous, we'll say, but they are, because they give you true freedom. Because you won't always be on the 5 and 1. You are going to gain the independence of understanding how food affects your body, of understanding what goes on your 9-inch plates, and also enjoying getting out there, back out there, to select your own foods, those 5 to 6 times a day and every 3 hours. You can do it because you are strong. Now remember, if you've listened to this, there is more. There is so more. We as independent Optavia coaches, we want to equip you, because this has been life-changing for us. So you can always find this recording as well as others to continue through your LifeBook and walk with this community and the Optavia YouTube channel, as well as subscribe to the podcast as too. All right. So that wraps up element 15 for us. Thank you so much. I hope that you have learned a lot. Don't forget to join us next week for your LifeBook element 16, dealing with addictive food.
This audio may have contained the personal testimonials of some independent Optavia coaches or clients of Optavia. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified, and your individual path to optimal health will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. In addition, this audio may have contained income or earnings representations of some independent Optavia coaches. Optavia makes no guarantee of financial success. Success with Optavia results from successful sales efforts, which requires hard work, diligence, skill, persistence, competence, and leadership. Please see the Optavia income disclosure statement for statistics on actual earnings of coaches under the U.S. compensation plan, which differs from the international compensation plan. Yours in health, the Optavia team.